America is for Americans and Americans only.
We are in a state of emergency. I can't believe I have to make this video, but we, the people, need to do something about it. People are living in fear. Afraid to go to work, afraid to go to school, afraid to leave their homes. This is one of the scariest times to be an immigrant in the United States, and it's about to get worse. If you are thinking, I'm an American citizen, this is not my problem, you are wrong.
A U.S. citizen from San Diego got an email from the Department of Homeland Security telling him to leave the country or he would be removed.
Although Aldo Martinez was born in the United States, he says he's still worried because he's been helping the undocumented community with legal issues for years.
I think it's an intimidation tactic against our community, whether you're a citizen, whether you're a legal permanent resident, whether you're undocumented. But I'm not going to allow this to stop me from fighting for immigrants' rights, to keep defending clients.
In this video, we're going to talk about 3 frightening truths and how on May 7th, 2025, everything will get scarier and how you can protect yourself and those around you. If you haven't already heard the story of Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia, I'll bring you up to speed. Kilmar came to the United States as a teenager fleeing gang threats in El Salvador. He built a life here. He lived in Maryland, worked in construction, and was raising a family with his wife Jennifer, who is a United States citizen. Together, they had a child with special needs, and Kilmar was helping to raise her 2 other children from a previous relationship. He was deported from the United States, not for a crime, but for an accusation that bared no fruit, because Kilmar had no criminal record, not in the United States and not in El Salvador. In fact, in 2019, a judge ruled that Kilmar could not be deported due to a credible fear of being killed by gangs back in El Salvador. He was released. He checked in with immigration authorities often. He joined the union, pursued vocational learning. He was in every way an integrated and stable contributor to this society. But one day, while driving with his child, Kilmar was suddenly detained. 3 days later, despite the court's prior ruling, he was deported to CICOT.
Welcome to CICOT, the world's largest prison by capacity in El Salvador, which was constructed to imprison the highest profile criminals. Those who enter this prison are destined never to leave alive.
There's no way out. How are you gonna come out of this?
CICOT is a terrorist confinement center in El Salvador. He wasn't just deported, he was disappeared. I use the term disappeared because the Trump administration has chosen this prison because it is out of reach of the American press. There are no rights and there's no getting out. The prison is designed for gang members and terrorists. According to El Salvador's justice minister, the only way out is in a coffin. This is where Kilmar was sent, not for breaking the law, not for posing a threat, but because of an unverified, unchallengeable accusation made by a suspended detective based on a confidential informant linking him to a gang in a state he never even lived in. But the truly scary part of this entire situation is that no court reviewed it, no evidence was presented, and his lawyers couldn't even cross-examine the accuser. Even the Trump administration has called this an administrative error.
The Trump administration is now acknowledging they wrongly deported an immigrant to that notorious prison in El Salvador, calling it
an administrative error.
An administrative error.
A clerical error. It was an administrative error.
Mistakenly deporting a Maryland father.
So-called administration error has destroyed my family's happiness, my children's innocence.
What makes this terrifying is that in this country, in these United States of Americas, we have something called due process. Due process refers to the legal requirement that the government must follow fair procedures before taking away someone's life, liberty, or property. Eventually, the Supreme Court intervened. It ruled that the government had violated the law and ordered the administration to facilitate Kilmar's release and ensure his case was handled as it would have been had he not been wrongly deported. But the administration deflected responsibility, saying it could not retrieve him from El Salvador. Trump and his allies claim they lacked the authority to bring him back, despite having unlawfully sent him there in the first place. Even El Salvador's president said it would be like smuggling a terrorist back into the United States. A man with no criminal record was wrongfully deported by mistake. And what should have been corrected became a constitutional dodge. The administration ignored the ruling and left Kilmar in prison in a foreign gulag. And the truth is, he's coming for you and your right to due process next.
Hundreds of thousands of people a month come in under Biden. We're getting them out, and I hope we get cooperation from the courts because, you know, we have thousands of people that are ready to go out, and you can't have a trial for all of these people.
But things are about to get far worse on May 7th. I want you to picture this scenario. You're driving down the street, you get pulled over. License and registration, please. The police officer runs back to his car to do a routine check, but he's taking longer than usual. A couple minutes later, a bunch of ICE officers pull up on you, arrest you, and out of nowhere, you find yourself in an ICE detention center. And you're asking yourself, what just happened? Well, on May 7th, 2025, Real IDs go into effect, and it's the first signal to law enforcement that something is awry. You see, in order to get that little star on your ID, you need to demonstrate your legal presence in the United States. This typically involves a US birth certificate, US passport, or proof of legal standing in the US if you're a non-US citizen. Listen, if you are living in the United States, either as an American or an immigrant with legal standing, do yourself a favor and get yourself a Real ID. Even if your driver's license is not expiring soon and you could travel with your passport. Even though the DMV will only extend your driver's license to the last day of your visa, regardless of that, I urge you to prevent the future heartache of harassment by protecting yourself and getting a Real ID. Honestly, I cannot even believe I have to make this video in 2025. I think in 50 years, history is going to look back on the way our government treated immigrants in absolute disgust. They may not be American citizens, but they are people who should be treated with dignity and should not be mistreated or disappeared. If you want to take action, make sure you're registered to vote and contact your congressional representative and tell them they need to stand up to Trump and that we the people demand due process and humane treatment of undocumented people.